Videos for you if you are trying to see significant changes in your physique. I'm doing this for my 10-week check-in for bodybuilding, but this can still apply trying to change lifestyle things and you're not competing. So what you should change and why, what you should look for, what I'm kind of keeping an eye on when I'm going through my check-in. So visuals, front, side, back, numbers, weight trends, steps, cardio, training performance, sleep, energy, mood, digestion, stress, and then the decision based on all that, I either hold the plan or make a small intentional adjustment. I'm officially 10 weeks out. So switching some minor things. Luckily, I have not had to make adjustments. I'm on a steady decline with my deficit and I haven't had to adjust too much. 2 weeks ago, I added 2,000 steps. So instead of adding cardio or taking away food, I just added some steps to see if that was helping because I just noticed I was holding on to some inflammation and it has. Losing about a pound a week, which is perfect trajectory. And for this workout, I'm about to do some glute kickbacks and abductions. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the abductions on a machine or not. And I started with hip thrusts on the machine because the barbell hip thrusts are a little bit too taxing just on my back. And I honestly don't like loading the plates right now because it's just too much extra work. Fatigue is starting to accumulate. I started to feel it yesterday. I'm at the point in my cycle where I should be really energetic and I wasn't, and my lifts were actually going down. So I added some carbs back yesterday. Feel really good today. Actually had a lower weight when I woke up. So woke up at 141 and the day before I was 142. So it actually was helping so far. And I feel better today. I still feel pretty tight. I think I just need to work on recovery a little bit better. But other than that, I did the hip thrust and then I did the step ups and the B stance that you saw, B stance deadlift. And now just these, I do have 25 minutes of steady state cardio that just slightly increased. I was doing 20 minutes and that's where my baseline was. That's what I started with. I just added 25 because I just want to maybe add some more carbs on my leg days. So just balancing it out a little bit. And it's more of a mindset thing than the actual food itself. And then I'm going to walk you guys through my check-in. So if you have trouble figuring out what to look for when you're in a cut, this will help you out. 10 weeks out is not yet unrealistic for the average person. So I think it'll still apply. And of course, this applies if you're competing as well. So I'm gonna finish this workout and then get to it. So you guys will be doing it with me. 10 weeks out of wellness prep for my second ever show. And this is the phase where refinement really starts to happen. And the margin of error gets smaller and details start to matter a little bit more. So in this video, I'm going to treat this like a real check-in, and I'll walk you through what I look for in my photos, what data I pull from the week, how I decide if I'm on track, and most importantly, when I actually change the plan versus when I leave it alone. Think of this as seeing inside of my coach brain and athlete brain at the same time. Pardon my hair. It's doing its own thing today. I washed it and didn't do anything to dry it, so it's just all over the place. And while I'm doing this, if I seem out of breath, I probably am. I'm going to get my steps in because it's Sunday and weekends are harder for me to get my steps in because I don't have work to do. So anyways, let's pull this shit up. Before I even get into my own check-in, let's talk about what a complete check-in should include. So a solid check-in isn't just, here's my weight And did I make progress or did I not? It is a full package of information. And for me, or for my clients, or for your, that usually means progress pictures. For me, I do it in my poses. If you are a lifestyle client, you can just do front, side, back. Just make sure that it's consistent lighting and try to do it at the same time of day. I like to do it in the morning after I go to the bathroom right away. I do my weigh-in and I take pictures. So the next thing that you need is your current body weight plus a 7-day average. I take my weight daily so I can see what the trends look like. Some people get into a really negative mindset around numbers, and if that's the case, if you're not in a place where you can be okay with monitoring your data, maybe it's not time for you to enter a fat loss phase. Maybe it's time for you to heal that relationship a little bit and decide exactly what progress looks like to you. Because weight, as you'll learn in this video, is not a clear indication of progress. So my 7-day average, so I can see what the average trend is. Is it trending down? Is it trending up? Is it maintaining? And then your current macro or meal plan adherence, if you're doing a meal plan for the week, what your steps and your cardio sessions, what was planned and what actually happened, training notes, like how performance felt, any missed sessions, any big wins. We're not at 10 weeks out for me. I'm not pushing for PRs, but feeling good is a really good indicator that I'm on the right track. And biofeedback. So those are things like sleep quality, digestion, stress levels, mood, and cycle info, if that's applicable to you. I'm a natural athlete, so I don't have to worry about blood work or anything right now. But all of those things together gives context. And we don't make decisions off of emotions. We make them off of logic and context. So all of those things are what we look at in a check-in. So if your photos are random, your weigh-ins are inconsistent, and there's no feedback, you're basically asking your coach or your to guess. And so information is a tool. And that's why having a standardized check-in, even if you're coaching yourself, is really helpful so that you don't go absolutely bonkers trying to figure out why you're not making progress. So first, we'll talk about physique breakdown. So first I check visuals. And starting with your physique photos, I always look at the visuals before the scale. Photos can tell you a lot more than a single number can, but the two together even better. So at 10 weeks out for myself, I'm looking for certain things. So for my lower body, I'm looking at how are my glutes looking? Is there a balance between fullness and tie-in details starting to show? Tie-in is where your hamstrings and your glute meet, if you're not familiar. And are my hamstrings starting to separate from the glutes? Can I start to see that definition in that high hamstring bottom of the glute? And do my quads still have shape without looking too soft or too flat? Luckily, my lower body's holding really well. And all these things, I'm starting to see some separation, and the tie-in is much better. That was something that was a huge goal of mine to work on for this show, was improving my tie-in. I was slamming them. So should look much better. And they're starting to come through already. And just to compare 10 weeks out last show versus this show, I'm in a much better position, and I feel really confident about that. And then I look at the midsection. Is my waist slightly tighter compared to last week? Are my obliques and lower abs starting to come through more? For me, they have been, which is awesome. And this is where I really start to see after this week, I start to really see it leaning out through my chest and my face and my neck and my midsection. And then it goes into my legs, and the last place to lean up for me are my arms. So I've recognized that pattern, so I know even for myself what to look for. And for upper body, I'm looking for, are my delts popping more? Am I having some more shape there? Is the cap coming through? Does my upper body match my lower body in terms of conditioning? Is one ahead, one behind? And I've already told you that. I already kind of know how my body does that. And so I'm not just asking if I look different. I'm asking, do I look better for where I should be at 10 weeks. I also pay attention to whether I might be looking flatter or truly leaner. And am I seeing more muscle detail, or do I just look smaller and more depleted? And that changes the type of adjustment that I might consider later on. And once I've really looked at the visuals, then I go into the numbers and the data from the week. So first is body weight. I'm not reacting to one random weigh-in. I care about the 7-day average and the trend over the last week or two, depending. And if the average is slowly trending down and my photos also support that, I'm usually happy with that. And if the pace is flat, I'm asking, is there actually a stall, or are there other markers still improving? And I will say, disclaimer, none of this stuff for the check-in matters if you're not consistent. So remember, this is consistent data. So whatever that means. I'm looking at, so I had to be consistently tracking, I had to be consistently weighing, consistently taking photos. Keep that in mind. And so if the average is flat, that I'm asking if it's a stall or if something else could be going on. And that would be where you ask yourself if you adhered 100% or not. And then I check steps and cardio. So did I hit my step target most days? Most days is the key. The goal is obviously all days, but life happens sometimes. And did I hit the planned cardio sessions in minutes? Or did I miss, cut short? Adding extra is a good one. Don't forget, you also don't want to overdo it. And so next is training performance. Are my lifts still holding steady and strong? Slightly improving? Are they noticeably dropping? What's going on? How are you feeling? And am I still able to train with intent, or am I just kind of going through the motions? And that's for me. If I'm feeling some good resistance, I'm feeling some good pumps. And for me, it's like a mood thing too. I like lifting. So if I feel that enjoyment drop, then I ask myself what's going on. Or is everything else feeling okay? And this is where the whole story starts to come together. And maybe the scale didn't move much, but my steps were solid. I'm coming in a lot tighter. Cardio was done and training felt strong. That is forward progress. And on the other hand, if photos aren't changing, the average weight hasn't moved for a couple weeks, and everything was executed correctly, that's when I start to consider an adjustment. Or so long as even biofeedback, which I'll get to this in a second, is good, then an adjustment is probably due. And that could be done in multiple ways. And then the next layer is internal feedback. So how my body actually feels. This, for me, being getting ready for a competition. At 10 weeks out, this is important because fatigue is starting to accumulate, but I still need to stay functional. So I look at sleep. Am I falling asleep easily, and am I staying asleep? Or am I kind of getting up and down throughout the night? And then energy and mood. Low energy is obviously normal, but if I feel wrecked 24/7, that's a sign that my recovery might be getting tanked and I might be pushing a little too hard somewhere. And then digestion. Is everything digesting well, or am I bloated or uncomfortable at multiple times, or is it doing okay? If my visuals look good, the data trend is fine, and my biofeedback is manageable for prep, that usually leans me towards keeping the plan as is. If I'm not sleeping, I'm dragging through workouts, digestion feels off, and my look is flat or it looks stressed or depleted, then that tells me that the solution may not be more cardio, less food, but it might actually just be to recover smarter and have some better structure around bedtime, better sleep habit, whatever it may be. And then now the decision tree, how I decide. And this is the part that everybody cares about. So how do I decide whether or not to change the plan? I follow a simple hierarchy in my head. And so one, if you don't do the first one, like I said earlier, nothing else matters. Were you compliant? Did you comply to your step goal, your cardio goal, your workouts, your food? And how much did you deviate if you did? And that's the first and foremost thing you need to ask yourself, and be honest with yourself. None of this stuff will matter if you're not honest with yourself, or if you're using a coach, not honest with your coach, because we can't fix what we don't know. So, were you compliant? And number two, visuals, like I said, Are visuals improving across the last 1 to 2 weeks? Yes or no? And then 3, are performance and recovery acceptable for where I am? And if you're a lifestyle person, usually I wouldn't do a deficit for more than 12 to 16 weeks, and then I would come out of it, sit at maintenance for a little bit, and either go back into a deficit or then reverse, whatever your goal is. But I would not stretch longer than that, but know that the further you get into those weeks, the more difficult and the more accumulation of fatigue and depletion you will have. And granted, if your lifestyle, you can have a refeed meal on the weekends or change up your calories a little bit to where you may not have a hard set date for your goal. So keep that in mind. But so for prep, is performance and recovery acceptable for where I'm at? So me 10 weeks out. If the answer is mostly yes to those 3, I'll hold the plan. And so an example of a hold week would be photos. I can see a slightly tighter waist and a bit more detail through glutes or midsection. And my weight, the weekly average is down a touch or stable, but visuals are clearly improving. Training, still pushing decent weights, but maybe a little bit more fatigued, but nothing super alarming. And sleep should be okay for prep. Stress should be manageable. And in that case, I won't change anything. And this is where patience pays off. And then an example of an adjust week would be if my photos look pretty much the same, identical 10 to 14 days, and not really looking tighter and no more detail coming through. And then the weight average maybe hasn't shifted. And compliance, if you were still on point with food, cardio, and steps, and then training and recovery was still manageable, I make one small adjustment, slightly lowering carbs or fats, or adding a bit more cardio or steps, but I don't cut a ton of food or slam a ton of cardio at the same time, just one lever at a time. And then I give at least a week for it to show me what it does, and a week of consistency. And if the issue is more recovery related, my performance is tanking, I look super flat and stressed, and sleep is garbage, I am more likely to adjust something in favor of recovery instead of pushing harder. And that could mean slightly less cardio, a bit more food, or adding a rest day, depending on how close I am to show and how much time I have. And of course, for lifestyle people, you could do that at any time. Now, let's talk mindset, because how you think about check-in can make or break your progress, whether it's for prep or for life. And a check-in is not a pass-fail exam. It's not, I lost weight, I'm good, or I didn't, so I need to push harder, I'm failing. A check-in is simply a conversation with your body, and you're asking, how are we responding to the current plan? And your body will tell you. And just a few reminders, again, be honest, don't lie, whether to yourself or to a coach, because you can't fix or figure out what you're not honest about and you're not laying out. And it'll make your life so much easier if you just put in, if you ate a little extra, if you measured a little bit over. It can also point out to yourself how often you are actually doing that. Because for myself in the past, I wouldn't realize how often I was just adding a little extra, and it ended up adding more than 100 to 200 calories to my whole day. So I always say monitor the BLTs, the bites, licks, and tastes, because they do add up. And don't secretly add in cardio or slash a certain day or take a day off of eating. Just confuses the data and makes it harder to track down what should actually be changed. So just get back to consistency. If you have a bad day, just try to jump back to the plan. Don't over or underdo something because you're trying to make up for something else. And don't emotionally spiral after an off week. You want to zoom out, look at the month, the trend, and your consistency. Don't let a week ruin you. And that makes it so much easier to be kind to yourself through the process. And patterns will always matter more than one check-in. And so stay logical and not reactive. So that's my 10-week check-in process. Just to recap quickly, I will move through it in this order. So visuals, front, side, back, looking for small but steady improvements, numbers, weight trends, steps, cardio, training performance, biofeedback, so sleep, energy, mood, digestion, stress, cycle. It's important to note that. And then the decision based on all that, I either hold the plan or make a small intentional adjustment. And if you're in prep or you're just thinking about losing or making some significant changes to your body, try using this structure for your own check-in and ask yourself, did I actually execute the plan? Are my photos standardized and comparable? And what story and what conversation is my body having with me based off of visuals, data, and recovery? And if this was helpful, please share, subscribe. I will be getting back to some more workout content. I am trying to be respectful of the people who come in for the new year, but I want to make some intentional videos about form and certain strategies, so please be expecting that. And I'll keep building on this kind of prep diary, so to speak, as the show gets closer and the New Year's chaos is kind of getting settled into a new position at work. So things are just a little off here and there, but my goal is still to be posting a couple times a week. So please comment, subscribe, like, I care, girl. Show up for me. Also, got a new phone case. It's so cute. But anyways, I'm done yapping. I'm gonna finish my steps. I have like a step in to do, and I'll see you guys probably next week.